area horizons.
Black magic, which began to spread all over the world thousands of years ago, was divided into several branches. The two most widely used of these were magic and sorcery. But there is a third branch whose very name sends shivers down the spines of human beings, even today.
Necromancy.
The practice of communicating with the dead and calling their spirits back. Necromancy is sometimes practiced in the form of the physical manifestation of dead people. Necromancy is a forbidden branch of the black arts and has its roots in shamanism. However, it differs from shamanism in some ways. There are records that it originated in ancient Babylon in its most well-known form. With the Renaissance, necromancy began to be equated with black magic and necromancy in Europe. Thus, with the emergence of different beliefs, the origin and meaning of the word was forgotten. One of the most popular beliefs is that it derives from the Latin word nigromancy, which means black arts. It is also possible that the name derives from the word necros, which means dead. Certain secret words spoken in grunts and strange songs sung in a trance are integral parts of the necromancy ritual and are believed to produce better results. There are references to necromancy in Homer's Odyssey and other similar classical ancient Greek texts. Necromancy is one of the most important types of black magic, but also one of the most effective and complex. It requires special skill due to the complexity of the procedure involved. In addition, since these rituals are carried out in the form of communication with dark forces and evil spirits, it requires being prepared and experienced for any catastrophic or unexpected events. As we have just mentioned, this practice was an integral part of ancient Greek culture and was quite widespread. It was also linked to otherworldly prophecies. The magicians of the time believed that through the incoming spirits, they could obtain a pure and ultimate form of knowledge. Some ancient necromancers also practiced gruesome rituals to bring back the dead, such as mutilation, cutting off parts of the body. However, these have disappeared over time. But necromancy is still a very difficult art to practice and master, and there are very few people in the world who can practice it fully. There are a few texts that have survived from antiquity describing necromancy. However, the most famous of these is the Necronomicon, the existence or non-existence of which is still unclear, and on which discussions continue even today. There are so many names for the Necronomicon and so many legends about it that it fills volumes, let alone what has been written about it. According to encyclopedic sources, the Necronomicon is the fictional book that Howard Phillips Lovecraft mentioned in many of his stories to support his self-created mythos of the Boxy HU. It first appeared in a Lovecraft story titled The Hound. Nevertheless, most people are sure that this book is real and hidden somewhere. This book, whose very name sends shivers down your spine, is associated with terrible secrets and evil. On the internet, you can find many articles describing the contents of this book. However, independent researchers say that all the articles on the net are fabricated and that the true contents of this book are a big secret to everyone except the devotees. The book goes by more than one name: the Book of the Arab, the Book of Dead Names, or the Book of the Calling of the Dead, or the Book of the Maddening. In short, it is a mystical book. The author's name is Abdul al-Hazrat, so the author is an Arab from Damascus, and according to the beliefs and what is known, the Necronomicon. It's a real sorcerer's manual, and it's no joke, as we've just said. Some say there is no such book at all, only in the imagination of American horror writer Love Proft. Others say it exists, but no one knows where it is. In short, the Necronomicon is full of mystery. It is claimed to be 7 volumes. The original was over 900 pages. So where and when was this strange book written? It is known that the Necronomicon was written in Damascus in 730 AD by Abdul el-Hazret. So who is Abd Hazret? We have very little information about this person. Most of it is in the Necronomicon. Originally from Yemen, he was always traveling. He read a lot, traveled from Alexandria to the Punjab, spoke dozens of languages, and told his students what he had researched and learned from all over the world. His methods are reminiscent of Herodotus and even Bruno. There are also rumors that he was insane because he lived in the area of the ruins of Babylon, which was believed to be inhabited by jinn for many years and which the people of the region tried to avoid. According to ancient Arab belief, the Daknada is mysterious. The entrance to the city of Irem is secret. Arab mystics and magicians considered Irem to be a very important and sacred place. Its full name is Irem Zat Alimad. According to ancient legends, this city was built by jinns on the orders of Shah Shattan. But later, for some unknown reason, this city was destroyed by God's command. Thus, only ruins buried in the sands remain of ancient mighty civilizations with great knowledge. In ancient times, people who had contact with jinn were called Majnun, which means jinn. All the Sufis of that age were called Majnuns. Today, however, this word is used to mean mad. This is probably why el-Hazrat is also called a mad poet. All the ancient Arabic texts are in the form of poetry. This includes the Quran. According to the Arabs, the poets who wrote these books were inspired by jinn. So what we call the muse today was the jinn, which is why the Prophet Muhammad denied that he was a poet and said that God himself was the source of inspiration, not the jinn. We do not know how Abdullah Hazrat found the entrance to the mysterious Iram civilization. However, all the middles on the subject say that when this man was living in this desolate region, he found some texts from an ancient civilization that had lived here long before human civilization, deciphered a significant part of them, and based on these texts, he wrote a necronomic subject whose Arabic name is El-Azif. The word El-Azif is the name given in Old Arabic to the howling sounds of jinn and wild beasts coming from the deserts at night. However, this book brought neither fame nor prestige to its author. According to legend, Abdul el-Hazrat disappeared from the Shamdan, where he lived the last years of his life and was never seen again. According to a rumor, the poet was mauled to death by a strange creature that attacked him in the middle of the street. Neither eyewitnesses nor later researchers have been able to identify this creature. Another source is the Greek Neoplatist philosopher Proclus, a specialist in astronomy, philosophy, mathematics, and metaphysics, who wrote that he was able to see the mythological god Hecate through magical means. Proclus drew on ancient Egyptian and Chaldean mystery teachings, and it is also said that all of his written methods fell into the hands of el-Hazrat and were transmitted to Necronomicon. There is no information on the origin of the Necronomicon in any Arab source. The researcher and historian Idris Shah, whose book is in Devaband in India. He writes that although he searched for it in all the ancient libraries in Devaband in India, Al-Azhar in Egypt and Mecca, he found nothing. In a Latin region dated 1487, signed by the Dominican friar Olaus Wormius, it is stated that the Inquisition's fatal figure, the Black Friar Torquemada, obtained the Necronomicon book and had it translated into Italian while persecuting Spanish Jews. According to Wormius, the book is extremely dangerous. It has an extraordinary effect on the person who reads it, and it blows his mind. He says that some of the passages in it contain explanations of secret and cryptic passages in the Genesis of the Torah, and that understanding them would lead one to madness. According to one account, some of the chapters in this book open multiple doors to parallel worlds through which evil spirits or destructive energy from other worlds can pass and cause severe harm to the unprepared reader. Allegedly, the book contains, for example, incredible truths about the pre-flood period. While El-Hazrat gives insight into the lost past, there are clear similarities between the creation account in the Torah and the mythological sources which the Torah conceals. The translations that have been made to date are far from the original holy book, and in great detail, they tell the business side of the past and the source of religions. Apart from these, the dark forces of nature and the universe are not worshipped by the mighty civilizations that preceded humanity. The gods named Sotot, Azotot, and Cthulhu and their characteristics are mentioned. Apart from that, some mysterious creatures and how to control them are described. One of them is the amorphous creatures consisting of protoplasm bubbles. Almost a third of the book is devoted to them. There are also mysterious beings called the Deep Ones. They live at the bottom of the seas and oceans, in underground cavities and deep caves. They are easy to control. But over time, this control turns into such a passion that the sorcerer becomes more and more under their control. The most repulsive beings in this book are the Glavanis. They look very much like human beings, but their long teeth and monstrous features give them away. These beings can have sexual intercourse with humans. According to the book, it is even possible to turn a human into a rose whiling under the necessary conditions. However, this is irreversible. The human race was somewhere else before the Earth. This is called descent from other planets. According to Neoplatist beliefs, there are unique life forms on the Earth-like stars described. The characteristics of these life forms are determined by the line of evolution of the cosmic hierarchy. Varmius must have gotten hold of a copy of the book, which he sent to Johann Trithheim, the high priest of Benheim. But then Wormius adds, "I burned the translation. It was blasphemy. The truth was coming out too much. People are not ready for it. It needs more time." But other sources say that the Necronomicon was not destroyed, but sent to the Vatican. 100 years later, in 1586, a copy of Wormius appeared in Prague. The famous English magician John Dee and his assistant Edward Cully, this time in possession of the Necronomicon. It is said that it was then that Dye and Kelly began their experiments in necromancy, the raising of the dead from their graves. But then another rumor spread, Necronomicon. They also had an alchemical way of making gold. Dr. de Necronomicon, he translated it into English and left it at the CRCE in Manchester. It was then placed in the Badline Library in Oxford by the great collector Ellis Ashmole, and is now on the music recordings of the Bruggees Museum in London, where a copy of the Necronomicon exists. It is emphasized that the books published under this name are not the original book, and historians are still convinced that such a book never existed. The reason for believing in the authenticity of this book is, according to these sources, the result of the great talent of the author. Meanwhile, the fact that the name Abdul el-Hazrat was formed from an incorrect or meaningless syntax in Arabic has led to the belief that this name was also fabricated.
Musa peygamber, benden sonra gelecek peygambere uyun, sözünü dinleyin diye bilgi vermiş, o kadar. Sadece Mesih olayı da değil. Deccal ya da Antikrist gibi mutlak kötü bir karakterden de Tevrat'ta bahsedilmez. Öyle dünyanın son günlerinde yozlaşmış